but also math, but also research method and also research metaphor that I formulated by myself. So just at the end of my PhD. So I like to share it with you. But before that, I like to give the overview for today. So we are going to have an introduction. Who am I? I will introduce myself very properly. And where is Papua or West Papua? And also I will go through my PhD thesis. I will introduce the Noken, the Muyu tribe, the connection to the forest, and also Noken as a lens in my PhD research, Noken weaving as a research methodology, Noken weaving as a research metaphor, and also research method, and some leading sources that guide my research. And also I will give a little bit information about the colonizing research in the Pacific context. So yeah, it will be a long session, and Yusri, you can just interrupt me, like say, oh, we need a break. So because I'm so excited sometimes in telling the story.
Kak Vero, sorry Kak Vero, can you make your slides fully? Because it's like there is still 2 slides here.
Okay. Sorry guys, I'm a little bit of IT things. Let me see. Share my slide properly. Oh, this is still. Oh, how can I do this? It's not full, Yusri?
Yes, there's still 2 slides, like the current slide and the next slide.
Oh, okay. So you see 2 things, let me see. Oh, no. Oh, what is this again? What should I do? What should I do to make it bigger, Yusri? I think this is just because of the...
I think display setting, you can check like display setting.
Oh, sorry, guys. Let's...
Okay.
Okay. What about this? Good.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, sorry, guys. Okay, so yes, this is just the overview. So let me properly introduce myself. So my name is Veronika. Veronika is actually my baptized name because I was born and raised from the Catholic background. And Triaryani is given by my mom because my mom has an Indonesian roots. And Kanem is from my father's tribe, the Muyu. So Kanem means, actually Kanem is the name of the tree that grow wittily in the Muyu area where my father come from. And as I mentioned before, I was born and raised in Merauke, Papua. I'm the only daughter, the youngest in my family. I'm an aunt and a wife. At the moment, I live in Tamaki Makarau in Auckland, Aotearoa, because of I pursue my PhD in Pacific Studies at the University of Auckland, because I got and I also got the UOA doctoral scholarship, and I'm currently waiting for my oral defense. But before my PhD, I completed my master's studies in women and gender studies at the University of Waikato. It's also in New Zealand, but different area in Hamilton, back in 2018. At the time, I received a Manaki scholarship. And I'm also a program coordinator of the Indonesian Young Leaders Program. So I joined since last year in May to 2024. Yeah, last year, yes. I think many of you are familiar with me because I assist I assisted many alumni from cohort 2022, 2021, 2022, and 2023, and now 2024. And then I'm also do teaching for the cohort 2025, so they are already familiar with me. Yeah, so that's a little bit introduction about me, because I want you to know about myself. Oh yes, and I'm married. My husband is a Persian guy here, and we both live in Tamaki Makaurau. So that's about myself. And now let me introduce you, or a little bit about Papua, because people are often confused about Papua, Irian Jaya, West Papua. Is it part of Indonesia, or is it separate and everything? So I want to introduce to you so that you guys can understand a little bit of political history behind of Papua, but also especially for the alumni from Mindanao, to understand what is going on a little bit about Papua, the place where I come from. So Papua, or West Irian, so long time ago, it's a West Irian and Irian Jaya, but after special autonomy in 2021, it's become Papua. It's turned into Papua. So it's the most eastern part of Indonesia, and it has a colonial history with the Dutch, because we used to be under Dutch colonialization, and then we handed to Indonesia in 1963, while Papua New Guinea used to be colonized by Australia, but then gained independence in 1975. So yeah, that's a little bit colonial history after Dutch, and then handed to Indonesia. It's with the intervention of United Nations. At the time, it's in 1983. So until today, we are the same island with Papua New Guinea, but we are under Indonesia authority. So that's why some people are often confused. Are you Papua or Papua New Guinea? So we say we are Papuans. But for the people in the Pacific, they say West Papua. It's just to differentiate between Papua and Papua New Guinea. So that's how, if we are in the Pacific, in New Zealand, for instance, we say, oh, we are from West Papua because we are part of the Melanesia. So that's how the confusion around that people sometimes don't really understand the history. But again, for Papua, it's a part of Indonesia, the most eastern part of Indonesia. And this is my my research site. If you can see, Merauke is the place where where I was born and raised. And if you can see here, Upkim and Waroko is my father areas. So my father has a long migration story, moved to everywhere, like moved to Sorong here in the north, and then got married with my mom and moved to Merauke. But again, Merauke is not belong to my father's tribe. So Merauke belongs to another tribe, okay? So basically we are just like also live and stay in a different tribunal tribes areas. So we are also like a migrant there. So Merauke is more into coastal areas, while Waroko or Upkim, which is very close to Papua New Guinea, border of Papua New Guinea, they are more mountainous and hilly. So we have a different landscape, and of course different material and material culture and resources there. Okay, so this is my PhD research. So the title is The Muyu and Their Noken, or Men, Stringbacks, Mobility, Material Culture, and Gift-Giving in Southern Papua. So let me explain a little bit what is Noken. What is Noken Kaferos? Many people, they don't really understand the meaning of the Noken. So Noken is West Papua traditional string bags. It's made of natural fibers, plants or tree. But for the Muyu people, my father's tribe, we call it man. Other tribes around Papua, they call it, they have a different names, but Noken is just the general term of the string bags. So in my father's tribe, we use genetum genemon or genemo, inner fibers to make the Noken. So it's very special. So we cannot make Noken using other material. So the Muyu, it's more identical with Genemo inner fibers for their Nokens. Noken received acknowledgement from UNESCO in 2012 as an intangible cultural heritage. And a little bit, the practical function of the Noken is a containers. The Muyu people use it for put their, like garden produce, their foods, their essential items, their babies, their piglets, their pets. So they use it as a containers and to accommodate everything. But they also use it in a cultural events, for example, in a Brightwell payment or a pig festival, child initiation into adulthood, for instance, and they also use the Noken as a dancing accessories and also in a rituals. So Noken is basically used for many different events and also different occasions. So a little bit introduction, the Muyu tribe. So the Muyu tribe is the Muyu people that inhabit hilly areas between Central Highland and South Coast along the border between Indonesia and Papua New Guinea. The settlement of the Muyu people spread over region near Merauke, Kau River, Bovendigul or Digul River, and east of Fly River in Papua New Guinea. The Muyu people are good at maintaining kinship through a pig festival, gift exchange, and trading. So that's from my father's tribe. And I like to also mention about the Muyu people connection to their forest. So this is very interesting to understand because, like I study in New Zealand and many of the Pacific people here, they are Pacific Islanders. So they are coming from the islands. So they only can speak or they can only talk from the islanders' perspective. They have their ocean, they have their their materials are coconut and pandanus. That's how islanders they have their own perspective. While myself, my father's tribe, the Muyu people, they are the people that live in the mountain, so they have their perspective around the forest, the land, which is sacred for them, the land that provides everything. The land represents their mom who taking care of their lives and sort of things. Yeah. So the first, the land or the forest provide food and traditional medicine, source of protein, cultural interest, sacred places, ancestor lines, source of knowledge, shelter, and safety. So there are a lot of function of the forest that sometimes people, especially the Western people, they don't really understand the meaning of the forest. They only see the forest as a that can benefit, that can be commercialized and bring the interest or as a property, something like that. But for the indigenous people, forest is more than that. Forest is very sacred. forest is very deep. Forest is their home. Forest is everything for them. Why I say shelter? During COVID-19 pandemic, many people, like people in the urban areas, they isolated themselves inside their house, right? So they make a social distancing. They just stay in their house. But for the people in the village, they isolate themselves. They go to the forest. They stay in the forest. That's a safe place. And my community also believe those who are really ill and when they are really really sick, and then when you bring them to the health center or hospital, it doesn't work. They believe that when you bring them to the ill people to the forest, you will get that spirit, you will be cured, you will be healed. So that's how people really value, the indigenous people really value their forests. This is just an example of traditional medicine from the Muyu tribe in Bovendigul, for example. Bit is one of the traditional medicine that the Muyu people used to reduce coughing, and this kind of like, we call it ararok, or in Bahasa we call it daun cerek hutan. Nepenthes is the Latin name. It's used to reduce fever and also expel evil spirits, or known as Jawat in my father's language. So according to one of the lady, Mama Priska, the only ararok that can be used to expel bad spirit or Jawat is still closed. It's not the open one. So that the one that is really can expel the bad spirit. And another example is like the forest as a source of material culture. So, for example, women, they harvest the fibers from the forest to make their string bags or their nokens, or they can make other things from the materials that they get from the forest. And then it's very important to understand that. So first time before I did my PhD research, I didn't know. I thought that if you want to make your noken, you can just go to the forest and gather the materials and then you make something, but it's not like that. Okay, so the women say, oh, you cannot just go to the forest, but you must understand the season. And I say, how you understand the season? And they say, oh, we have our traditional calendar. So when you observe the wild turmeric just around your living environment or in your forest, it means if it's already blossoming, it means that's the right time for you to go and to harvest the fibers. But if you didn't see the wild turmeric blossom, it means when you go and you will still, you can harvest, you can peel out the bark, but you will not find the inner fibers inside. I was like, this is really amazing. Their knowledge is really amazing. And yes, and men usually hunt the wild pigs for the pig festival to maintain their kinship with their extended family, clans or subclans, and trading partners. And the forests become a source of knowledge to predict the annual seasons for harvesting, like I mentioned before, and also hunting, and also to predict the weather or season that has passed down across generation. So believe it, like I usually see people when they predict different kind of bird coming to their forest, they can understand that, oh, it will be a long drought because of that kind of animals, which is they believe, a kind of bird, which is they believe is flyover from Australia. They can understand it. So, oh, be ready. We will have a long, very long drought, something like that. So yeah, the forests can be for everything for the indigenous people. So yes, so why Noken for PhD, Veronika? There's a lot of questions usually race. Okay, why you must choose Noken? Why no other things? Because your master study was about women and gender studies, but now you ended up about Pacific studies and do research around Noken. So the first point is, as I said, that I was born and raised in Merauke. It's an urban area, so I'm an urban girl. I don't know anything about my people, my father's tribe, because we were very disconnected when my father moved out from his village because of the education and job opportunity. So yeah, I was born and raised just in an urban area, and I have no knowledge about the Muyu people, the Muyu tribe. So I thought Noken will probably connect me back to my father's roots. So I thought it's really good. So how I find the connection between my master study and my PhD. So my master research was about the market women. So I also analyzed that market women, they also weave their Noken while they are waiting for their customer at the market. And now I thought, oh, maybe it's good to just take the Noken out. And then, but the point is, Noken and market, they are linked. They cannot be separated. So that's how I connect my master thesis and my PhD thesis. And through the Noken, because I try to see the connection between Noken itself, because I believe that Noken represent human connection. So from the Muyu to their family, their kin, their trading partners, and their outsiders, because they usually give Noken to those people to maintain their connection. So that's the connection between human and human connection. But also I see the connection, also I see the Muyu people connection to themselves, because Noken is always attached on their body, especially women's, is always attached in human's body, and attached, and it's carry everywhere, and a symbol of their belonging. It's like their property. But also I see non-human connection. So the first was human and human connection, but now I see the non-human connection that the Muyu people have to their forest, because the material for weaving the Noken are from the forest. So now I'm using Noken as a research lens. So when people ask me, Veronika, did you only like why Noken and how you do your research? So did you just like collecting information, data around Noken making or something like that? I said no. So as Wilda using food, yeah, as an entry point. So I'm using Noken as a lens to see many different issues that experienced by my people, my father's tribe. For example, I'm also discussing the forced mobility of the Muyu people to Papua New Guinea in the late 1980s because of the military operations at the time. And I also used the Noken to see the voluntary mobility of the Muyu people because of the job opportunity, education, marriage, and cultural purposes. And then I also used the Noken to see the environmental destruction caused by the oil palm plantation that can disconnect the Muyu people connection to their forests because of the destruction of their customary forests. So that's how I, like Noken is a bag, just like you put that three key points inside, that three findings inside. So I use that to tell the story. So the first is about the environmental destructions. Okay, so this is a big issue in Papua, West Papua, that we are currently facing. Maybe it's not how can I say, it's not viral like Raja Ampat, yeah, because Raja Ampat Raja Ampat is a popular tourist destination, and then when there is an issue there, it was just went viral so fast, so quickly. But the issue that we are facing in the south, it's environmental destruction that last few years was, like allocated around 13 million hectares of indigenous land by the state government of Indonesia. And it's just really concerned the people in the south of Papua. And the project started to convert indigenous people land into agriculture areas and oil palm, and started to disconnect indigenous people from their forests and ancestral line. Destroying the forest is also destroying indigenous people's cultural sites and memories. Why I say this? Because in Merauke, or in my area, the Marin people, their totem, or they carry their family name, their ancestor is actually from the animals and plants. So for example, the Sego, it's also their ancestor. Their ancestor is the sago palm. Their ancestor is also the kangaroo, is their ancestor. One of them is also like a crocodile is also their ancestor. Coconut. So yeah, so that's how when destroying the forest or the land, it's like destroy their ancestral line and just remove or destroy their memories, because they use the forest is also like they use it to understand the borderline between one clans, sub-clans, or another tribe. So they use that. They don't have like like the government. They just usually put something in the forest, and like people can see. But the indigenous people, they mark their lines using like tree or stones, or something that provided in the forest. So it's very difficult if the forest is being destroyed and everything was just removed. That's about the first point that I mentioned in my thesis. And then the second is about the forced mobility of the Muyu people to Papua New Guinea that I also discussed in my thesis. So as I mentioned before, we have a very political history back in 1960s, where the transfer of the territory from the Dutch to Indonesia creates a conflict. So many people, especially the Free West Papua supporters, they have a conflict with the Indonesian military, and then they force people to move to Papua New Guinea. So many of the people moved to Papua New Guinea. They left everything behind. They left their villages, they left their houses, forests, gardens, and then they just move and displace. So when they were in the borderline, a few of them, they are related. So they say, oh, some of them are my family, so I can stay with them and I can get a food from them. But many of them, they don't know each other. They are strange. Like they feel rejected. They are not happy. They were not happy. So that's why the locals also pressure them that why you are come here and you also take our food from our forest. So men couldn't go hunting, women couldn't weave their string bags, and children couldn't go to schools. So that's the displacement story. And then starvations happening and death of many people, of many Muyu border crosser at the time because of the late of the distribution of food and medicines. And then, yes. So what's the relation between mobility and Auckland? So in my research, I found the women's Auckland weaver in refugee camp, they are facing a lot of problems. They are facing a lot of trauma. and because they have a fears and anxiety, they miss their home village. They say, oh, I want to go home, I don't want to be here. And weaving Noken was the only way to release their stress and to socially interact with their fellow weavers. They share their burden, they share their anxiety, stress. But because they couldn't access the forest to get the materials, so it made them more even pressure, and because the customary area is not belong to them. So they said, how can we get the material to keep up our weaving practice? So that a few of them risk themselves, they walk in the silence back to the borderline again, back to their customary areas, just to harvest the fibers, get their food, and then walk back to the refugee camp again. So it takes about a week just to go walk in silence. Why in silence? Because they're scared of the Free West Papua supporters, but also they're scared of the military, Indonesian military as well. So they're scared of two different groups at the time. So they were just walking. They risked themselves just to get the fibers to keep up their weaving. Because I asked them to, and they say, oh, because Noken can become an exchange item as well. When the food from when the food supply hasn't arrived, they can use Noken to exchange for another, like food sources from the locals as well. So Noken can be used for many different items at the time, including to exchange food and goods. Okay, so that's the story of mobility to Papua New Guinea, but that's a forced mobility. But now it's a voluntary mobility of the Muyu people because of trading, safety too, paradise bird hunting, job opportunity, education, and marriage. So many people, since the Dutch intervention at the time, they moved because they got the job opportunity. They moved to many different areas in Papua, especially in Sorong, because there is a gas company there. So they move for working. Some of them came back to Merauke because of marriage with another tribe. They moved. They also did they joined the group for hunting bird of paradise, and then they ended up like going outside of their village, ended up staying in the city and didn't return to their village. So many of them live in Merauke, the place that I was born. So women's Noken weaver in Merauke. So those who move from their village to Merauke, they are, because as I said before, Merauke is a coastal area, and then the Genemo trees are not grow very well in Merauke. So many people in Merauke, they use pandanus or coconut leaves to make their baskets, so not string bags. So that differences made the women found difficult to continue their weaving practice. So women must import and purchase the fibers from the Muyu areas. They spend a lot of money, a lot of time, and it's leading them to use the synthetic yarns because they couldn't get the natural fibers. So they thought, oh, it's better we just purchase something from the shop to keep up our weaving. But that's, like that doesn't represent the Muyu people identity, because the Muyu people believe that the Genemo tree is a gift from their ancestor. When you replace it into synthetic yarn, it means, you just disconnect your connection to your ancestor. And also the sustainability of the Noken practice, because the Muyu people believe the making Noken is actually you take something from the forest you wear your noken, and then the damaged noken, it's supposed to be returned to the land. So that's the cycle of the noken. But if you replace it using synthetic yarn, it's like you are cutting off the cycles. So yeah, so now we are moving to why I ended up using noken weaving as a research methodology. So to be honest, in my first year, second year, third year of my PhD, I'm confused. I was confused at the time. I was just like, what should I use for my methodology? I try different things, and then I ended up with like a lot of writings, rubbish, you know. That, and I tried to match something like a methodology from the Pacific, from, for example, from Samoan scholars, from Tongan scholars, from Fiji scholars, but I feel like no, it doesn't really connect. It's something that really missing. So in my final year, like PhD student is a lot of reflection, so I try to be like to calm down myself, and I talked to myself, Veronika, why you must use other people methodology? Why? You can create your own methodology. You have a very rich sources. You have a very solid knowledge from your community. Please make your own. Okay, so I talked to myself at the time, and then I consulted to my supervisor, and then they said, "Oh, Veronika, we love the idea." So there were a few people already started using noken weaving as an entry point or as a research with the community. But I think for the academic one, I'm the one who developed it very well in the academic context, especially in the international context. So yeah, I said, okay, I'm going to use noken weaving, but what is the key feeders? So I tried to read the Melanesian and Indigenous Research key feeders, and I tried to join everything together, including the noken weaving values that I try to combine it. So the first key feeders, it's about honor relationship. So this is the like relationship is a Indigenous Research and Melanesian, even Polynesian research, they're also using this. So maintaining connection. So the one that I learned from this is the connection yourself with your own idea. You must dealing with your own idea first before you do the research. Are you already sure with what you are doing, or you are still unsure? So that's how I came up with, okay, I must have a relation with my idea. I must have a relationship with noken first, okay? Because I carry noken, I wear noken since I was little until I'm in New Zealand. Noken is always in my body. So that's how I try to maintain my relationship first with my idea, and the second with my family first. I'm asking my family, I want to do this research. My father said, oh, that's really good. Okay. And I try to talk with my mom, my brothers, because the family is my support system. So that's how I try to get their ideas. And then my community. I try to discuss this idea with my community before I do my research. So I try to have a connection with them. I went to the market, sitting with the women who make the nokens. Just go and sit with them, talking with them, maintaining connection, build a new connection. And then the last one, it's building the relationship with the land and environment. How, Veronika, how you build that? So you must ask like, maybe it's hard to believe. And I say this even to my husband or even to the Western people, They say, how you have a connection with your land? You know, you talk, you ask the spirit of your ancestor to guide you to conduct this research. That's how I try to maintain that communication. You say this, and then the universe will agree with it. Okay, so at that time, I try to build that connection first before I do the research. But then during my research process and until the end of my research process, the relationship, establish, building, and maintaining connection before, during, and after your relationship. That's a very key in doing the indigenous research. And then reciprocity is the second key features. It means like the research must benefit the community that I work with. The research must benefit the Muyu people that I did the research with them. Okay, of course, people will say like, oh, Veronika, you got the knowledge from your community. What do you want to give something back to them so that the research will benefit them? So there are a lot of ways that you can do. But first, are you willing to give something back to your community? That's the question that we are that people often ask to a researcher. If you are using indigenous research methodology, reciprocity will be one key point for you. You must give something back to them. It's not you. It's not Veronika. It's not the title that you get and then you be popular and then you are like get invited to many different events, speak. It's not about that, but it's about how much that you can give something back to your community. So this is how I try to reciprocate because without my community knowledge, I cannot complete my PhD because I acknowledge them in my research. So this is how I try my best. So I did a Noken exhibition. So I brought all of, not all of, but like some of my community works to New Zealand. So we did a community exhibition, Noken exhibition. I introduced the work of the Noken women. I said, look, this is my community work, not me. I don't even know how to weave Noken, okay? I'm just learning. So this is the women. I promote the woman itself, not me. So when people say, oh, Veronika, I love your work, I say, it's not my work. I don't know how to do these things, okay? It is my community. I'm only a bridge that opened up the way connecting Papua to the Pacific. That's my role. And one point is I promote their Noken and sell their Noken, and then the money will be back to the community because they are building a new church at the moment in the village. So yeah, we are started to selling the Noken now, and we'll send the money back. But also the point is from the exhibition, I do the campaign. I share awareness about the oil palm trade of multinational corporation that now happening back home. Why I did this? Because many people in New Zealand also still consuming the oil palm products, you know? So we try to share the awareness. If you can reduce your consumption of oil palm, maybe it can also help to cut down the demand. So it will be not affecting people, indigenous people. And we also got the information that New Zealand is also exporter of, they import of the, I don't know how to say, but the oil, part of the oil palm that they usually mix to feed the cow here. So yeah, they're still doing those things. So I try to also share awareness through the Noken exhibition. That's what I try to do for my community. If you ask about reciprocity, I try my best to do this. This is just some of the exhibition photos. So we got a lot of visits. from individuals, from organizations, university, academicians, government, Auckland City Council, Auckland Museum, Auckland Maritime Museum, even the students. And this is some of the photo from the Laos and Cambodia young leaders who came and visit my exhibition as well. So yeah, share the knowledge of the people. And one of them is also Noken publication. So I try to document all the Noken weaving from the Muyu people, Muyu women, and then publish a book. And the first publication of the book, I mentioned that I acknowledge that the book is not my book, but it's my community book. And I say this publicly because this is my community book. And I ensure that the publication will not harm the community because, you know, the conflict situation between Papua and Indonesia government and also internationally will usually drag, you know, people will start talking about it, but I ensure that publication will not harm my community. And yeah, and I also say that for the Papuan people, if you want to purchase the book, you got a discount, half price. And the benefit of the book sale will return to the community as well. So it will be donated at the same time with the Noken sales. And then we will, at the moment, we already raised around 1,000 New Zealand dollars, and it's still going on because I got information a few days ago that the Auckland Maritime Museum will purchase 4 Noken. And we do set up a high price for institutional because they want to buy and then they want to put in the museum, you know. So I said, oh, you must pay more money because this money will go to community. And we also make a documentary film. So yeah, and then the intellectual property rights, it's belong to the Muyu people, even though the film it's funded by Creative New Zealand, but I make it clear there that this is not belong to you, but it is belong to the community. And the film is already used for the educational purposes. Okay, so that's 2 key points. First, relationship and reciprocity. So I just mentioned the sample of reciprocity that I try to do while I'm in New Zealand, but for my community. And then the third key features is a respect, okay? Respect the place, respect the land, the people, the values, and the knowledge, then acknowledge their knowledge. It's not your knowledge, it's their knowledge, you know? It's so different when Western people, when they say they want to do the research, but actually they come and take the knowledge and then without acknowledgement, they say, oh, it's from my research. It's me, it's not them. So that's the point of, we try to respect everything. Respect can be also the land, the people, their values. When you conduct a research and then when they say, oh, Veronika, you cannot do this because we must, it's not easy. You must do like this. You must listen to them. You are not coming from, because maybe you are from the higher education, you have a higher education level, you come to village and then you want to intervene everything. It's not like that. You just come and listen to them and go together with them. Let them lead your research, not you. You just guide them together with them. And the fourth is a responsibility. So be responsible with the given knowledge. First, you must clarify everything before you do publication, and let people know if they write or cite the knowledge wrongly. So, for instance, before I submitted my thesis, I come back again to my village, and I clarify everything. I said, do I write wrong or true? So the woman say, oh, you must put this. It's not as, it's an. So they correct everything. And then a few months ago, I saw the Auckland University media, Pacific Media something. They published something, but it's wrong. So I correct them. I emailed them. Why you didn't send the draft to me first before you do publication? So I correct them. Because they say, they write that Noken is made from pandanus. I say, it's not pandanus. It's not Pacific. We are Melanesian. So I correct them. So that's how you be responsible with your research. When people write something wrong, you must tell them, oh, this is wrong. Oh, this is correct. Because a responsible researcher will not harm or put the community in a difficult situation and will not destroy the community's knowledge. So I have experience a few of researchers from outside, okay, like a foreign researcher, came to Merauke, do the research, didn't do clarification, write something. It's not only foreign researcher, even from Jakarta or from other parts of Indonesia came, and then they didn't clarify their findings. They write something wrong, and then their research is being published. Many people read it. So it means you guys are destroying the knowledge of the indigenous people. So we must be careful about this. And then the one point is, as a researcher, you must also think about the sustainability of the indigenous knowledge for your future generation. So it's not like after research and then done, finish, but how you try to encourage them to do something for the sustainability. Okay, so 4 key features that I already explained, and I try to give example that I already, or I'm still doing something for my community. But another Noken weaving research methodology that really comply with Melanesian research ethics, it's like, this is the one that the Polynesian, they don't have, okay? Like from people from Hawaii or Samoa, Tonga, Cook Island, they don't have this because Melanesian is a little bit different, I think, and unique. And maybe Malay or, like Asian, they also have their own research ethics as well. So we are so different. So in Melanesia research, there is an ethic, for example, cultural perspective of compensation. I think in Asia also, for example, if you make a mistake, there is a compensation. You must pay a compensation. Yeah, compensation, it can be when you do bad things, or it can be when you do wrong things, and you must pay compensation. That's a very common in Papua, but also across Melanesia. Non-human relationship, like I mentioned before, their connection, spiritual connection with their forest, with their ancestor lines, and they also still believe with the, like a magic or spirit, or like sorcery, for instance. That's how we are still dealing it and using it in our daily life. We also have a kinship ties, relationship with our family, extended family, clans, sub-clans, and the wider community. And also the application of communal consent. The chief leaders is usually the one that, play significant roles in deciding something for their community. So that's some of the Melanesian research ethics that I try to draw for my Noken weaving research methodology. And from the Noken weaving itself, there is a values that I try to take and draw in my weaving, Noken weaving methodology as well. First, it's about patience, okay? Passion in conducting research. Why I say patient? Because the women, they do weaving, they are very patient, very slow. Even like they produce one Noken, it can take around 2-3 weeks, 1 month, 2 months, it depending on the sizes, but they are very patient in doing that. So when conducting research, patient, you don't need to rush. to meet your target. You just enjoy the process, and then it can be the process will expand. Sometimes it will expand. Sometimes you want to, you have to stop and take a break for a while, but just enjoy the process. You cannot force people to do the research, because when you force people, you cut down your connection that you already built. Oh, sorry. Oh, and then, sorry. And then the second is a sacrifice. Why I say sacrifice? When women do the weaving, they spin the yarn in their legs and it's remove their hair. Sometimes it scratch their skins. That's how they sacrifice themselves. Painful, but at the end, their beautiful bag they give to people to maintain connection. They don't need you to pay them, because they say, oh, when I give this bag, it means you will remember me. You will bring the story with you. That's how they sacrifice themselves only to make a beautiful bag or string bag, and then they give it to people. What I try to draw in my methodology, sacrifice, like be humble, okay? Put your community first. It's not Veronika, it's the Muyu people. So it's just about you. You want to be humble and be like, okay, Veronika, it's my community. It's me. I'm helping them. Okay. Sometimes we just need to be brave to to say this. And the last is togetherness, the value, because women usually weave their noken, their bags is together, even though it's individual work. But they weave it together because they want to encourage each other, they want to motivate each other, complement each other. So this point, I reflect this point where when I do my data, when I conduct my research until now, I try to do something for my community. I cannot do it by myself, but I must have a connection in New Zealand, for instance. So the togetherness to bring some positive impact to my community. So I try to expand connection. So I try to expand connection, for instance, like, for example, I got some funds. I work together with Langi Mama. Langi Mama is like a local organization in New Zealand. I introduced my research to them, and then they were keen to work with me. They helped me to get some funds from Creative New Zealand. I work with the university, especially the library. I said, oh, I really want to display my work because it's part of the PhD. So how can I utilize the library space to display all the noken, but also to share the knowledge to the student and to the public? So they say, okay. And then recently I collaborate again with Auckland City Council to put my noken exhibition in the Auckland City Library. So now it's not only academicians, students who can see the noken, but also the wider community across Aotearoa, or especially Tamaki, from Auckland itself, and got some supported funds from GR Mackenzie, is like a local organization in New Zealand as well. So that's how we do together, everything together, to introduce the work of the Muyu people, but also to do a lot of different things, especially to share the awareness. Okay, that's from the methodology itself. We still have other things. How's Yusri? You want to have a 5 minutes break, or maybe some people want to ask questions first when they are not really, I don't know how we navigate this.
Okay, thank you, Kakak Vero. Okay, thank you, Kakak Vero, for this amazing sharing. Even today, like the topic today about indigenous methodology, like Kak Vero mentioned, but I think like indigenous methodology is not only like valuable for research in indigenous context. Vero mentioned that the principle like respect, reciprocity, responsible, and like cultural sensitivity can also be applied to many other issues and community we work with. I think there is some question, Vero, in the chat before we move into the other topics like Kanoe's question. Kanoe, do you want to open your mic? Okay, Kakanoe say that, do you ever receive any response about people who recommending to modernize the Noken in way to boosting the sale of Noken during your experience, Kak Vero? It's a question from Noe.
Yeah. Yes, I did receive many, not many, a few suggestions from here, from New Zealand. But I also think about it by myself, you know. So that's going to be the next plan to boost the production of Noken. Maybe it's not only string bags, but we can be produce like a dress or top or bags, earrings or key rings, a lot of different crafts from the Genemo fibers. Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Is there anyone who have a question who want to ask directly? Kakaela, do you want?
No, now I don't have a questions, but I just feel like I amazed and appreciate all the things that you have done, Vero, and I'm so proud of what you have done with your research, and so inspiring and so, you know, yeah, it's nice to hear, and everything just like reflect for not only me. I think I know that everyone can reflect from what you have done and can help us also maybe later in the future if we want to do something, we can also reflect and learn from what you have done. So thank you, Vero.
Okay,
Thank you,
thank
Ella.
you, Kakaela. So I think we can move to another topic, Kak Vero. But guys, if you have any question, just drop them in the chat. We will read after this session, the last session. Over to you, Kak Vero.
Sure. Thank you, everyone. So I already explained about the methodology, why I ended up using Noken weaving as a methodology. I ended up creating my own methodology, combined from the Melanesian ethics, combining from indigenous research ethics as well. So I kind of like combine them together, but also take the Noken weaving values that I cited and I put in my new methodology. But then I also realized that I don't want to say that I'm using, I try to decolonize the way I conduct my research. So I ended up also using Noken weaving as a research method because most of my data gathering were happening during the process of Noken making. So I went to the forest with them when they gathered the materials, and that's how I started talking with them. I started to get more stories from them, their life stories, life experiences with the women when we did gather the materials in the forest. When they do the weaving in their house or in the market space, that's how I also got all of the data and information from them. So yeah, I would like to say that Noken weaving is a great methodology, especially when you are working with women, especially the market women or the women who do or make their string bags. So you can create your own methodology for collecting data and information. And I also use the Noken weaving as a research metaphor. So I try to, for example, like weaving. This is for example, this in the screen, you can see weaving Noken and my PhD research, okay? When I weave my desires, like my idea, that's how I try to make a plan for my PhD. And preparing tools to harvest fibers is like preparing some resources, including funds and grocery supplies before conducting fieldwork. Selecting genemon trees or the genemo fibers is like genemo trees is like you are selecting your research participant in the right way, using the consent form, and harvesting the genemo fibers or peeling the bark is like you are listening to participant life experiences and documenting their life stories. Drying, sorting, spinning the fibers is like you are doing the transcription of the audio recording or analysis your field notes. Weaving Noken is like you are weaving the stories based on a clear themes or significant findings and research framework. At the end is the gifting. When you already weave, you got the bag and then you hand it to people that you trust or you want to maintain connection. It's like you are giving something back, your knowledge, reciprocate the knowledge and experiences given to the research participant. You disseminate the result to the related stakeholders, including the chief leaders, village apparatus, religious leaders, or like the one that I try to do now, expand the knowledge, share the knowledge to the wider community or to the public, to people here in New Zealand. Okay, this is some leading sources that really motivate me to do my PhD. Okay, so I was really inspired by Linda Tuhiwai Smith. He used to be my lecturer when I did my master's study at Waikato University. So, but he's also very famous Maori scholars from New Zealand. So Linda stated decolonization is not just about political independence from colonial powers, but also about dismantling the system of knowledge, power, and culture that perpetuate colonial relationship and practices. So the way I conduct my research, I believe that I try to not really comply with the Western system because I'm doing my PhD in New Zealand, Auckland University, which is a really strong influence of the Western system, but try to use my own methodology, my own research that is far away. It's very far different from the Western system as well. Linda also critiques how Western research practices have to historically been used to colonize, exploit, and marginalize indigenous people. Shift towards research, conduct research with and by the indigenous community, and informed by indigenous ways of knowing and understanding. So this is how we try to save the research between the Western system and the indigenous research. Decolonizing research means acknowledging the researcher's own positionality and biases. You must acknowledge yourself, your biases as well, and being reflexive about how that's impacted the research process. So that's some key points that really underline the way I conduct my research. And this is also some other sources from Sean Wilson, Indigenous Research Methodology, and also yarning methodology that being utilized by Indigenous people in Australia and also Indigenous people in Canada. Yes, and this is some of the introduction of decolonization of research methodology in the Pacific. So there are lots of the way conducting research in the Pacific that if you study New Zealand, you're gonna listen to it. You're gonna hear it. A lot of methodologies that the scholar try to create, try to use. Okay, so for example, in indigenous in Pacific, for example, Kakala framework is from Tonga, Fijian Vanua research framework. It's from Fiji. The Cook Island T55 making is like this one in the photo. In the screen. It's a T55. How the Cook Island women, they weave their like a tablecloth or those kind of things. But it's actually culturally it has a meaning, and they use that as a way of conducting their research. The Samoan, they have a Fa'afaletui. Talanoa is also from Samoa. That's now really common in New Zealand. When you are in New Zealand, you say, oh, let's come and have a talanoa. So that's how they try to create a space for talking to each other. And also Kaupapa Maori, they have developed as a theory in the 1980s and popularized by Professor Graham Smith. So the Maori people also have their research, key research values of conducting research. For example, this one, they have some values that ranga tiratanga, for example, leadership, matauranga, knowledge and understanding, kaitia kitanga, guardianship, kotahitanga, collaboration, Mauritanga, life essence, Wairua tanga, spiritual connection, Orang tanga, health, Wakapapa and Vanu, family or place of belonging, something like that. Yeah, so every indigenous people in the Pacific, they have their own research. So like I explained before, Talanoa is used now widely in New Zealand as well, because there are a big number of Samoan community in New Zealand. They use Talanoa as a way of conducting research. So Talanoa is actually refers to like informal conversation or talking. It's like a talking for nothing. You just come, sit with food, eating, and then discuss something, and then you got all of the information from there. So that's Talanoa, and then Kakala is used, Kakala is used in Tonga. If you understand the Tongan people, usually they give something to the visitors, or when you are graduation, they hand something. It's a flower, actually flower. So they use the Kakala framework to emphasize the qualitative in nature, Tongan ethical research protocol, observe and honor relationship, reciprocity, respect, and humility. And the relationship between researcher and the community of participants is crucial for gaining access to authentic data. So they use it as a metaphor as well. As far as I remember, the Kakala is like at the end when the women do they do the flowers arrangement. At the end, they will give to the people as well. So it's like a gifting as well. They have a gifting value in that. And this is the Melanesian one. They have a talk story. Talk story. Now, if people say, oh, let's come and have a talk story. So they use it in a Melanesian way. It's like you come, eat chewing betel nuts and start talking, or come, eat food and start talking. So they use that as a way of gathering data and information. And recently, my friend, Katie Bolingham, she's Papua New Guinean, she developed the talk story as a methodology. So she create not only talk story, but you, me talk story. You and me talk story is more into inclusive. It's more, it's not too many people. So it's more inclusive and like a one-on-one interview, something like that. Okay, so this is, what is your next action for Noken, Veronika? That's, I think, one question that raised by Noe. Yeah, so my plan is the exhibition will travel across New Zealand because we already received confirmation from Canterbury University in Christchurch and also Massey Uni in Palmerston North. So we will have more exhibition down there to share the knowledge, but also to do the campaign, like I said before. And I will try to approach the Waikato Uni Library as well, because yeah, I did my master study there and I have a very special connection to Waikato as well. So I think it's worth to bring the Noken exhibition there. Why it's not gallery, Veronika? Why it must be in the library? I said before that because this is academic research, so the library will be very good space to deliver the stories, and people can people can study, people see Noken, people get more close to it because this is part of the academic research. There is a possibility the Noken will travel to Fiji and Australia. We also got the invitation for this. But again, besides that, my plan is for my community. Again, it's not Veronika is traveling, but I want, there will be a Noken weaving class in Merauke from the elders to the younger women, and got that opportunity from Tyndall Foundation. So Tyndall is, if you guys been to New Zealand, and you try to buy your socks or your warm clothes in a warehouse, warehouse. So Tyndall Foundation is a foundation from the warehouse chain across New Zealand. They came to my exhibition and then they're really interested to have a collaboration. And I said, I want to make a weaving school in Merauke. So encourage more younger generation to do weaving from their elders. I said like that. I said, we will think about it for next year. And there will be a training for villagers to expand their Noken weaving into various crafts, like before that Noe asked, yeah. So yeah, I already think about that. I like, oh, let's expand something without replacing the material. So the material will be still using the Genemo fibers, but we will make into like modernize without cut the cycles, like I said before. I don't want to replace everything from natural fibers into the synthetic yarn. But the most important thing is I'm thinking to have a project for planting the Genemo trees. So instead of rely on the Genemo trees in the forest, I really want to encourage the villagers to start planting their trees, occupy all the empty space that they have, because that's a one way also to say no to government or oil palm, that we already occupy our space. You don't have a space, empty space again. There will be no excuse that, oh, it's unproductive land, so we will try to use it for plantation. No, now we must planting all the Genemo trees around our customary land. So that's the plan. It seems like a big plan, but I'm sure there will be a lot of ways to achieve that. Yeah, I think that's all from me. Thank you so much, and let's have a talk story or talanoa if you have a questions. Thank you.
Kakak Vero. Thousand love from the audience. Okay, guys. If you have any question, if you can ask directly, you can turn on your microphone. If you have any question or anything you want to ask to Kakak Vero about the indigenous methodology or about the indigenous story which delivered by Kakak Vero. Is there any question? Okay, Kakak Vero, I have honestly, I have a question about your story before about like how is Noken being adapted or like reinterpreted by younger generation in Papua and beyond now, Kak Vero?
Okay, so I think the younger generation, for example, those who, well, younger generation who live in a rural and urban, they are totally different. Okay, those in the rural areas, they are still, they got all the knowledge from their elders, so they are still continue their weaving in a traditional way, while those who live in the urban areas, they got influenced with the technology. They want to create more beautiful knockens, more colorful, and try to like bring the synthetic yarn into it to create a more beautiful bag to attract the customer, to create the higher economic values for the women and those kind of stuff. So there is a two different opinion between younger generation and elder generation, where the elders really want to keep the natural fiber to not cutting off the cycles of the noken itself, while the younger generation really want to boast the economic values rather than the cultural values of the noken itself. So this is happening recently in Merauke, in the city center, and I believe also in across Papua, whether people now started to use synthetic yarns, which is also easier to find. It's not difficult. You know, when you purchase in the shop and then you just do the weaving straight away, you don't need to be like peel it again, you know, peel it and then beating the bark, wash it, dry it, and then spin it again. Just remove all of your hair, legs, and yeah, scratch skin, those kind of stuff. So yeah, there are two different group now between the younger and then the elders. But then the point is we want to educate the younger generation as well, that this is part of the life cycle, sustainability, but also this is how you appreciate your ancestor. It's part of your identity. When you use the noken from Genemo fibers, you represent your identity as a Muyu people. But if you use noken made by synthetic yarns, that's just like something that are very touristic, you know. So it's like a souvenir. It's not representing the Muyu people. That's how the situations can be like that, Yusri.
Thank you. So we're still waiting the others, guys. If you have any comment or if you any like some similarity with your culture, like in the Philippines or in Mindanao, you can share also to us in this meeting. Lexi, is there anyone to add? Do you have any question?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes,
Yep.
clear.
All right. Thank you so much. And thank you, Vero. And probably first of all, I want to extend warmest congratulations. At the same, thank you for extending your the invitation to us this afternoon. I'm also happy that Malaya and Hilton is with me, listening to your presentation. And I'm very interested at the same time inspired how you did your work. And I know it's really like you have to really go to your, because you're based in New Zealand, but you really have to, you thought of a research that will bring significant value to your community back in West Papua. So thank you so much for sharing your story with us, Vero. And it's a blessing for me to also hear that coming from you, though it's virtual. But hopefully in the coming years, we'll be able also, you can probably showcase your your story also here in Mindanao. Why not? Hopefully. Probably I'm just yes, I'm just interested, or I just want to learn, Vero, under the reciprocity the 1R. I just want to know that how did you because you already like mentioned the activities, right? I just want to know, did you like co-design this with the community, or how did you like consulted? What kind of reciprocity did you do for them or for the community? And then my second question is, I'm just also interested in terms of what's the government in terms of involvement of the government in terms of your, because in the Philippines we have the free prior informed consent. So we have the National Commission on Indigenous People here that manages like studies, no? If you're from the community or even you're from outside the community. So we have this legal system that manages in terms of documenting, especially the indigenous knowledge, systems and practices. So what's in terms of, I'm just interested, no, how's the culture in terms of like the government involvement in that space? So that's from me. Thank you.
Thank you, Lexi. I will start from the second question. So I think I didn't have I do have a consent form. Ethics. I passed my ethics from Auckland University, and then I bring that ethics, but I didn't like hand it the documents, because first is in English and second is to academic, and I just explain by my own way and my own words. But again, I think Indonesia, in terms of indigenous people rights, I think the Indonesia is a little bit different maybe from the Philippines. Yeah, so we are here as acknowledging the indigenous people rights, but it's not really applying it, So there's a lot of a problem happening to our indigenous people, but I don't have a problem with that. So I just, in Papua we have three key points, three key figures that you must go and ask for permission before you conduct your research. So first is the village government. That's very key in conducting my research. And then the second is the chief leaders. So I went to the chief leaders and I said, oh, I want to do this and that. And then the third is the religious leader. So I went to the church and asked permission as well. So when you already complete this three procedure, you can conduct your research very peacefully, and they will support you in so many different ways. That's from my experience. And then the second question about reciprocity, I don't really consult this with my community, because if I consult this, they want to ask a lot. So reciprocity is come from your heart. So you want to do something. So it's about something that you have in the value that you carry as an independent researcher, the value that you want to benefit something. But if you co-design this with your community, they will ask a lot of things. They will ask like, oh, we want this, oh, we want that, oh, and then it will bring a headache in you. So yeah, so I didn't co-design everything related to the reciprocity. That's only the value that I carry in my heart. So I just want to do something. As I say before, doing indigenous research it's about, you are dealing with your ego. You want to be famous, or you want your community to be famous. So if you want put your community first, you must kill your ego that, okay, I completed my PhD because of my community, not because of Veronika. So that's that I try to do. And people always come and say, oh, you are the expert, congratulations, blah, blah, blah. I say, oh, I can't even weave the noken. This is my people weave the noken. It's not my work, So try be humble and try to acknowledge the work of the community. Yeah. So that's from me. Lexi, I hope I answer your questions.
Thank you, Lexi. Thank you, Kak Vero, for your answer. Okay, guys, is there any question or something which you want to add? Kakak Victor, do you want to add something?
Actually, I don't really have a question. I was just like really always interested and actually started to thinking about doing also the indigenous research by listening always to Cafero. So this past, do you already know? I've just like heard a lot from Cafero about it. So I was thinking to do the same. And probably I will communicate more with Cafero about my plan to study about leadership, community leadership. And I don't know, I don't have expertise in indigenous research, but probably this is a very, probably this is my question. Yeah, it becomes question. How can we actually make sure that our research is like, I don't know, probably the limitation of what we call indigenous research, because I myself really interested to work with community, which I don't really understand whether the community is indigenous people or not. But I am so interested to do what you have always explained about reciprocity, giving back to the community, and respecting about their knowledge. And that's always become something that I really interested, but I'm also confused about whether the community that I want to work with are indigenous people or not. If that's the first thing. And then the second one is, when I read about Talanoa or any methods like that, I was always comes with a very wild thinking about, is it possible to do the indigenous research with? Yeah, sometimes in my community, I don't know, they are not probably from indigenous community, but they do a lot of bakarlota or things like they are gossiping, or like they have like time in the morning, mothers waiting for the husbands, and then they start chit chat. I was thinking, is it also good a practice of quote unquote indigenous methods? I mean, I want to use that habits or culture to like collect my data. However, I'm not sure, can I claim it as a indigenous research or not? Or is it appropriate to be like saying this is indigenous? Or is it just like a methodology that probably participatory? So that's the clarity of that. That's very important. Is it really need to be like, okay, that's indigenous people that you are researching, so you need to like state it clearly, because participatory sometimes in nature also try to do the same. However, yeah, I was just like having that confusion, because I plan to study this topic in my community in Sulawesi. However, I'm not sure the community that I'm working with are indigenous people, and I'm not sure if the culture that they have are not influenced by what you call it. Because in my place, a lot of people comes from different places, and I'm not sure if the new norms are actually original or just like mixing. Yeah, so that's probably you understand my confusion, Pero. So yeah, probably have suggestion to me whether I should I keep or insist using indigenous, or can I just like probably participatory is enough for my situation. That's not for my side, my end. Thank you. Sorry for the long.
No. Thank you, Victor. I think the young leaders who work with me on their action project, I started to ask them, please do use your own method of collecting data or information. So, for example, from Southeast Sulawesi using Koja for their data collection method, and Baca Rita, Tokot Mapeo. So those kind of things, please try to use it and introduce to people. If you are not introducing, and how people can understand that. But before you introduce the local method, try to understand first about that tradition, maybe from your elders or chief leaders, understand about the values or the the significant values or what is the meaning of this and that, so you will start to introduce that as your research. It can be research method or data collection method using the local or the indigenous local, rather than you just say like interview or in-depth interview, observation. Try to decolonize that words first with your own term. And I think, it's a bit difficult if you are working with like a diverse group, okay, diverse people from different ethnics, because if you come back to the meaning of indigenous people, it's like a group of people that are still living and still practicing their values, their culture, they live with it, they have a connection with their land, they live closely with their environment. That's how, like, for example, like my community, the Muyu, that's the people that really I call them indigenous people, because they still do the practice and those kind of things. But when you are in a place of like a diverse community, you can also pick up like just the key points, like reciprocity or responsibility, or those you can still apply that, which means that your research can be back to your research participants and community, and will give something to them, not only you. That's how you try to pay something back to them, give something back to them. So so that's how you must understand your participant as well, their backgrounds and those kind. If they are like a one particular community, you can use them as a methodology, but you must understand all the values, the cultural values, the people, the custom, the knowledge that they have, the particular knowledge that they have, as your methodology. Because methodology is talking about methodology is the values of your research. It's your framework. If you use that values, it will enrich your research. Yeah, that's from me, Victor. But if you have a local method from your area that you want to use in your gathering data, yes, why not? You can start introduce it, as long as you already sure about that and you already understand the values of that as well.
Yeah, thank you, Kak Vero.
Thank you, Kak Vero. Okay, I think Hasbi has another question. Hasbi, do you have any question, Hasbi? Hasbi is like identical with the question. Okay, good. Thank you, Hasbi. Okay, guys, is there anything you want to add or ask? Hey. Okay, I think it's all clear. However, do you want to add like something like closing your topic of presentation, so I'll giving like the conclusion?
Okay, thank you everyone. Thank you for your time, and thank you also for giving me the opportunity to share. So yeah, I feel really happy to be able to share my journey, my research, and the the experiences that I have from starting from my community, but until now in New Zealand. The point is, doing indigenous research, or you want to do something with indigenous people, is not about like, oh, I'm waiting to use that when I do my PhD. It's not about that. Okay, you can do in your project as well. When you are doing your project, when you are doing the work with community, you can start doing that. You can start use all the values that from the indigenous methodology, or sorry, from the indigenous research, you can apply in your own works, your family, your daily life. Okay, because like reciprocity is not about doing research and do something back to community, but like when you do the work from your workplace, for example, you must do something. Oh, I take something, but I must give something back. It's like you appreciate the people, you appreciate the community, you appreciate their knowledge. It's not claim that it's yours, but try to acknowledge that this is the community. It's belong to the community. It's belong to the people. Sometimes it's very difficult for us to deal with our own ego, that they say, oh, that's me, that's my work, that's this and that, you know. So but now try to see that, you know, which one you can just represent your community rather than you put yourself first and the community behind. Try to acknowledge the community work, the knowledge, and try to give something back, even though it's a little. You don't have to make something big, you know. And also, please don't promise your community, you know, when you promise something and then they will keep demanding, like, oh, you already promised. You just let everything flow, and then you just keep moving, you know. I didn't even promise my community for exhibition. I didn't promise them. I just say, hey, I want to do exhibition. Can you help me? Can you support me? And then they start supporting me. When the exhibition run, I say, hey, hi, I already get the publication now. Oh, I already. So I didn't like promise them to do this and that. But I only promised them about bringing their noken for the donation and sell the noken and give something back to them. So yeah, that's how I promise not only the community, but also the church. So yeah, I'm doing that, and we'll hopefully send the money back soon after we sell out all of the tokens. And thank you. Yes. Yeah, thank you for your time. I think, Else, you have a question. I saw. What is this question? Sorry, we already closing, and then you suddenly gave a question. Do we still have a time, Yusri?
Yes, we have
left.
a few minutes. Okay.
Oh, and Noe, I already answered your question, Noe. So I don't want you feel like I didn't answer your question. When I answer your question, I think you are on mute or somewhere. Vero, I have a question. I myself know how to weave noken, but I still confused about the connect my knowledge and the methodology. Can you explain more about it, or do you have any suggestion? I know the values of noken and weaving noken, but don't know how to connect it into my research methodology or data collection. Okay, Else, I don't know how to weave noken as well. But I'm learning. I'm spinning it. That's how you learn something with your community. And about understanding the noken, it's about how you go back to community, learn with them, sitting with them, and observing and understand. It's a long process, Else. And then as a urban girls like myself, when I was in the I was born and raised in the city. I don't know anything. I only see noken as a bag, as a string bag. Okay, I didn't have the understanding to go deep into it, the values, the knowledge, and etc. etc. That's how I try to navigate myself, and I learn, and I try to appreciate everything as well. About methodology, Else, it's a long process as well. If you hear my presentation from the beginning, it was a long process. But yeah, it's not easy as well to decide I'm using this, because you have to be careful and mindful. You have to consult everything with your community before you came with the methodology. So part of the methodology is actually in the Muyu language, which is I didn't present it here. It's in my thesis. And I really consult that, and yeah, with the people in the village, using the language, the proper language. So I'll share the thesis when it's already being examined to you. So maybe you can read my thesis. And again, my thesis is more into storytelling. So when you read my thesis, you will not get bored. It's like you are reading the story. So that's how I try to decolonize the Auckland University thesis guideline as well. I didn't like use this and this and this, but I just like randomly, I telling a story. I put the what is the traditional language and also the translation in English. So yeah, I just make my own thesis. I hope when they examine my thesis, they will accept my thesis because I just like write the way how I tell the stories to my readers. Yeah, that's from me, Else. We can talk and discuss more if you keen. And yeah, I saw a lot of comments here as well, Malaya and from Monica. And thank you also. Thank you for coming and thank you for listening to my sharing. Okay, Yusri.
Okay, thank you, Kak Vero. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today. Kia ora, terima kasih, and salamat po for your time, energy, thoughtful, and participation. Special thank you to our amazing speaker, Kak Veronika Kanem, for her inspiring insight and story. Once again, thank you for being here. Have a wonderful day, and see you in our next session. Before we end this meeting, we will take a picture together. So if you can open your camera, but if you cannot, it's no worries. Kaifa, can you help us to take the picture? Okay.
Okay, 1, 2, 3, smile. 1, 2, 3, smile. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay.
Thank you, Vero.
everyone.
Thank you, Yusri.
Thanks,
Thank you,
everyone.
Ifa, Victor, everyone.
Bye,
Thank
Bye,
you,
Malaya.
Maraming
Lexi.
salamat.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone. Thank you so much.
Bye
Thank you, Kak Yusri.
bye.
Thank you. Bye.